What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, June 27th, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 15:12 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, and also from here in the United States. So, as many of you guys probably already know, tonight is the big debate between Trump and Biden. And I'm very concerned that something big could go down during this debate or sometime tonight. Now, earlier this morning, we had a flurry of emergency action messages. These are nuclear attack options. So we had a lot of them earlier this morning, and they're pretty active so far this afternoon. And these are messages that are transmitted to our nuclear forces, specifically their messages containing targeting information for our subs and our bombers. And last night, Russia turned on their long-range radar for nuclear war, and also the US turned on one of their long-range radars for nuclear war. We were covering that live last night, and the Russians may have done that either to jam our nuclear war frequencies, or they accidentally jammed our nuclear war frequencies in the process of turning on their long range radars. But this is very serious, guys. The fact that they turned on their long range radars means that something is about to go down. And today, the UN Security Council had a meeting, and Russia was not happy about the situation in Crimea. They blamed Ukraine and the West for over 100 civilian injuries, including the death of several children, when Russia tried to intercept an ATACMS missile that was heading towards a military target in Crimea. The debris from the intercepted ATACMS landed on this beach in Sevastopol, okay? But Russia has something big planned. I do expect them to do something very big very soon. And what you're looking at here is some video footage coming out of California. This is in Palm Springs, California. And apparently there's some reserve training going on. But what's very interesting is, if there's reserve training going on, why do they have all these medical Bradleys here? You see those Bradleys with the medical signs on them, and notice that they're painted olive drab. Okay, these are Bradleys that are probably going to go into Ukraine. And what's interesting is that a subscriber of mine who happens to be in the Wisconsin National Guard and is a high-ranking member of the Wisconsin National Guard told me that they are getting ready to deploy to Eastern Europe, okay, very soon. So looks like something big is about to go down. But again, this was in Palm Springs, California. You can see the self-propelled howitzer over there. You can see a bunch of utility trucks. So something big is about to go down. Russia turned on their long-range nuclear war radar. We turned on our nuclear war radar. Now we have all these tanks. These are M1 Abrams tanks, guys, okay? Guys, gold has been on an unstoppable run. It has gone up more than 81% in the last 5 years and almost 20% in the last 12 months. It is happening. Central banks are ditching the dollar and U.S. treasuries and buying more gold. The good news is that it's predicted to go up even more. UBS even said it would go up to $5,000 an ounce. Noble Gold Investments phone has been ringing nonstop. Everyone wants to protect their retirement with gold, and you can do the same. Noble Gold Investments can help you secure some gold to protect your future. From day one, you will work with the same dedicated all-American expert. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced investor, Noble Gold Investments will make sure you get all the help you need. And this month, Noble Gold Investments will give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin if you open a qualified account. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below and in the comments check them out. Get that free quarter-ounce gold coin. As far as I know, they don't do training with this many tanks, okay? And they're all painted olive drab. So they must be for Europe. Okay, these are M1 Abrams over here. So something big is about to go down. I don't know what it is, but you can clearly see the buildup for it. Absolutely insane. And here's some more footage. And I want to update you guys on the situation in Israel and Lebanon. So apparently Israel has started dropping balloons with leaflets attached in southern Lebanon. So that's a huge sign that they're getting ready to go into Lebanon. They did the same thing right before they went into Gaza. So you got to remember that Lebanon is a completely separate country from Israel. Okay, it's a UN recognized country. Gaza is not. Okay, Gaza is basically part of Israel. It's not recognized as a separate country. So going into Lebanon would be a huge increase in tensions versus going into Gaza. Okay, it would be a huge escalation by Israel. So I do expect all hell to break loose once they go into Lebanon. I think we're going to see Russia make some moves. I think we're going to see China make a move. I think we're going to see North Korea make a move. And it's all going to happen simultaneously. What you're looking at here are 3 nuclear war command and control planes that are up in the air right now. And they just took off like about an hour ago. And we have 3 B-52 nuclear bombers airborne this afternoon, which is a lot. And then we also have 2 nuke sniffer planes airborne right now. We have 1 nuke sniffer flying over Lake Michigan. It went all the way up to the Upper Peninsula. And what's interesting is that it was flying quite low over Lake Michigan. They usually do that when they're trying to detect a submerged submarine, because they can actually detect submarines if they're nuclear powered. Now, this is very interesting. Another nuke sniffer heading straight down to the Caribbean right now. This is very, very interesting. And we do know that Russia moved some nuclear subs to Cuba about 2 weeks ago. So I'm guessing this is related to that. They probably want to use this asset to figure out exactly where the Russian subs are located, but you can see it's going straight down into the Caribbean. And we also have some sub hunters active off of North Carolina and Florida this afternoon. We have one that was active off the coast of Wilmington, and then we have another one that was off the coast of Orlando. So they're definitely keeping an eye on this area. Maybe there's a Russian sub in this area somewhere, and they're trying to figure out exactly where it is. And here we have an audio clip of the Russian over-the-horizon radar that was turned on last night. This is a long-range radar to detect ballistic missiles. So that's just the interference caused by the radar being turned on because it's so powerful. These radars are so powerful that the amount of electricity they use is equivalent to like a small city of like 30,000 people. That's how much electricity they draw when they turn those radars on. So they cause massive interference, and they can jam frequencies globally. And what we have here is some video footage coming out of northern Israel. Hezbollah launched as many as 50 to 60 rockets into northern Israel, and you can see the Iron Dome missile defense system or air defense intercepted all of them. Absolutely impressive, okay? But the situation is escalating in Lebanon and in Israel. And the Russian embassy in Beirut, that's the capital of Lebanon, has asked all Russian citizens to refrain from traveling to Lebanon due to a possible military conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. Okay, so the Russian embassy telling its citizens to not travel to Lebanon. And the Israeli Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, inspected a reserve unit of the Israeli army on the northern border of Israel, and they held an exercise on extreme scenarios and fighting in tangled and mountainous terrain as part of increasing preparedness for war in the northern part of Israel. And the German Foreign Minister, Annalena Baerbock, during her diplomatic visit to Lebanon, carried a message to Beirut stating that Israel is seriously considering expanding the war and that no one in the West will be able to stop that. Okay, so she's warning Lebanon that they're not going to be able to stop Israel. Okay, so this is very, very serious. And the Syrian government says they shot down an American MQ-1C Gray Eagle that illegally entered Syrian airspace. Apparently, one of these drones costs up to $80 million. Here's a picture of the wreckage. Okay, so Russia shooting down one of our drones. Now Syria shooting down one of our drones. And what are we doing about it? Nothing. Okay, it makes us look very weak. But what's interesting is after Russia shot down that drone last week, we haven't seen the U.S. send any more reconnaissance drones into the Black Sea. So very interesting. And the Israeli Air Force sent warplanes into southern Lebanon last night and apparently hit an underground compound used by Hezbollah in a large strike. And Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas will visit Russia on August 18th and will be meeting with Vladimir Putin. Wow. And the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, gave a video message today to a ceremony commemorating the 40th day since the president of Iran died in the helicopter crash. And he said that the fate of all nations and the resistance in the region is tied to the fate of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And the resistance refers to the alliance of terror groups sponsored by Iran, including Hezbollah, Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Houthis, and the Iraqi Shiite militias. Okay, so he's saying that basically they're allies with Iran. And Algerian authorities have confirmed a massive deployment of Libyan troops on their border. Apparently, the Libyan army issued an ultimatum to Algeria saying, give our land back or we will take it by force. And I want to just show you guys some flight paths here from last night. Here we have a Norwegian sub-hunter that flew up towards Russia's Northern Fleet base in Murmansk. This is where Russia has most of their nuclear-armed submarines. And here we have a U.S. aerial refueler that was active off the coast of Wilmington, potentially refueling some reconnaissance assets here, keeping an eye on the Russian warships and subs. Here we have a U.S. AWACS plane that was operating just south of Taiwan. And the Taiwan government has issued a travel warning for China, advising people against going unless absolutely necessary. So Taiwan telling its people not to travel to China. This could be a sign that China is about to go to war with Taiwan. And North Korea announced a successful test of a hypersonic missile with maneuvering units. And what's interesting is South Korea said that it was a failure. So North Korea saying it was a successful test, South Korea saying it's a failure. Regardless, it was a success because just the fact that North Korea is testing these missiles means that they're perfecting them and developing them. Okay, so while the West continues to downplay how serious of a threat this is, okay, the fact that North Korea is actually even testing these missiles, whether it's a failure or success, doesn't matter because they're in the development stage. So when you're developing something, you obviously have to test it, right? There's no such thing as building a missile and then the first test is successful. It doesn't work that way. Okay, it takes multiple tests and multiple iterations to achieve a finished product, right? So just the fact that North Korea is testing these hypersonic missiles should be very concerning to all of us. And the Turkish Defense Ministry said today that while no one, including our nation Turkey, desires a dark picture like a third world war, it is important to note that our military is fully prepared for any scenario. So the Turkish Defense Ministry saying that they are preparing for World War III. And last night in the live stream, I read an article about Norway stockpiling grain. They're going to start stockpiling thousands of tons of grain because of the war and escalation around the world. So that is a huge sign that something is about to go down. They haven't stockpiled grain since the Cold War, okay? And the Kremlin's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said Russia is considering options to respond to Western actions, up to downgrading the level of diplomatic relations. And the Russian Foreign Ministry said Moscow may amend the nuclear doctrine in the future and take into account experiences learned from the war in Ukraine. And obviously, this is so they can nuke Ukraine. And Putin already said that they would amend the nuclear doctrine and lower the nuclear use threshold, nuclear weapons use. And the U.S. and Israel are in talks with Ukraine to supply Ukraine with up to 8 Patriot air defense systems. These would basically be old Patriot systems that Israel has not used and decommissioned. They're probably going to try to bring them back into a working state and then give them to Ukraine. So that's huge. 8 Patriot systems. And then Romania's giving them one. Germany's giving them another one. And the U.S. is going to be producing several for Ukraine now. So that is huge news. Russia's missile attacks are going to be a lot less effective once they get these Patriot missiles, and that could push Putin over the edge, and it could push him to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine to get a win. And Dmitry Rogozin, a Russian official heading the Russian occupation of Zaporizhia Oblast in Ukraine, said today that it is time to burn everything Ukrainian down to the root so that there is no trace left. Wow, absolutely insane. Basically calling for a genocide. And the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, signed a law yesterday making English the primary communication language for Ukraine internationally, replacing Russian. And a U.S. embassy attaché in Ukraine was found dead in his Hilton hotel room in the capital of Ukraine. He arrived on June 15th to take up a position there. The U.S. State Department has taken custody of his body for autopsy. And Russia is currently using thermobaric warheads to completely level the strategic town of Chasiv Yar. They're using their TOS MLRS systems. And Ukraine has signed long-term security deals with Estonia and Lithuania. And the Polish army, along with Polish border guards and special police forces, are on maximum level of combat readiness. After yesterday, there were 150 attempts by migrants to cross into Poland from Belarus. So that is absolutely huge. And there was an evacuation at a Northrop Grumman plant in California today. And what you're looking at here is some video footage that was released by Ukrainian guerrillas. And what it shows is a Pantsir air defense system in Sochi protecting Putin's compound, his mansion or dacha, whatever you want to call it, in Sochi. And so this could mean that they're going to try to take out this Pantsir system with drones in the future. And we do have a tropical system developing rapidly in the Atlantic. It looks like it has an 80% chance of development through the next 7 days. It could potentially turn into a hurricane. This could be our first hurricane of the year for the Atlantic Basin. Okay, the National Hurricane Center is giving it an 80% chance of development through the next 7 days. So we have to keep an eye on this thing. And here's a satellite image of the Caribbean and the Atlantic. And you can see over here on the right, this giant system here, and it's starting to rotate. Okay, so 80% chance of development. And I want to just show you guys the sun. As of right now, we don't have any solar flares to worry about or any monster sunspots that could generate monster solar flares, but I will be keeping an eye on it for you. But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. I will be monitoring the situation with our nuclear forces. They are on high alert today. We did have a lot of nuclear attack options broadcasted today. We had the Russian long-range radars turned on yesterday, so something is going on. And I will be back later on tonight, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're getting notifications. Hit the bell icon down below. And until later on, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.